Hi, I'm Lisa with Lisa Grace Wigs, and I wanted to come on really quick and talk about this wig that Grace just rehabbed. Our customer requested that we just leave the brand name out. This one will be a mystery. There were a couple issues with this wig. One of the issues was the root that was added to the wig. This is actually a factory dyed red wig. The root that was added afterwards was extremely red. The vendor that makes these wigs makes them with a very deep widow's peak. And with a widow's peak, it changes a little bit how you have to cut the lace. Let's see if I can kind of show you this way. So, you know, you've got that arch and the widow's, oh, it's pulling it up right now. When you're cutting a wig, the sides actually will help hold that front middle down. If you cut around a widow's peak, which is what happened in this case, what happens is the little middle, I like to say it becomes an island, but actually that's not right. A peninsula. It becomes a peninsula. But because it's kind of off on its own and it's longer, there's nothing for it to hold on to. There's nothing to kind of anchor it down and have it lay flat. So what you end up with is it will continuously get pulled up whenever you run your fingers through your hair. It will not lay flat anymore. And the unfortunate thing is there's really no fix for that. You can't put in like darts on the sides to hold it down because it's still off on its own. The only way to fix that is do an entire new front, and you and I both know how expensive that is. So the advice I had given our client was just wear it. If it starts absolutely driving you nuts and you don't want to like glue it down, then you can always get it refronted. So as far as like the dimension and just taking this color up a notch and elevating the color, Grace gave it a new root, a darker root, and she had to kind of correct that just really redness that was in it. And then she also added some low light. And because this started out as a factory dye, it's really not recommended to use lightener on it. It will damage the hair on a factory dyed wig. And as Grace was kind of picking through the wig, doing her thing, she just noticed the low lights that were in the wig were very inconsistent. And then it had some added highlights that were also just very inconsistent on placement. So this is how she turned out. We did give her a very deep conditioning treatment as well, just to help with the dryness from the lightener. And actually another thing I should probably mention about this wig was the knots are extremely over bleached. What happens when you bleach the knots too heavily, the lace actually will turn orange. Let's see if I can show you. And this lace is very orange. And it also makes it like kind of thick and itchy feeling. The other thing to mention about this wig is that there is a lot of color on the knots. And that's just technique. So with time and education and technique, you really shouldn't be hitting any knots with color. It makes it very difficult to part the wig when it has stained knots. And when we do get in wigs, that is one thing that's very important to me. I do like to point out any little issue the wig has, and there's a couple reasons I do that. One of them is because we need to know the exact state of everything before we touch the wig. And the other reason I point things out also is because I can make suggestions for like the life of the wig, because things like over bleached knots or color on the cap, especially the bleached knots, that may change a little bit about how you should care for that wig. Over bleached knots also leads to premature knot loss. Boy, that was a big one. And you know, wigs are expensive. So my recommendation on this one to my client was, if it ever makes you nuts that, you know, you have that little island coming down, or if you don't want to glue it down, then we can always refront it. And also baby this wig, because it is definitely at risk of premature knot loss because of the over bleaching. The other thing Grace did do to this was she gave it a haircut. It really didn't have a lot of movement in the front and the sides, so she kind of went off of the existing face frame and then just blended all the layers in and added some new layering to the sides. I would say this is probably right around like 150 density. So here we are outside. It is very overcast today in Florida. Yeah, so now you can see, you know, even though this actually is very neutral, because you have those really bright orange knots, it still kind of makes it look a little warmer up there than it would if this was nice and bright in the middle. And this has a silk liner, so you can't really put some scar tape, but my recommendation would have been to do a piece of scar tape and like some nice bright powder just to brighten it up if the liner wasn't there. Yeah, overall, I think we have definitely a big improvement. This is definitely a lot of just luxurious hair. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful week.